Imagine this for a second. Imagine working harder than anyone you know, and yet you're still broke at the end of every single month. Just think about the weight of that feeling, the exhaustion, that quiet desperation. Now, imagine a man who started with even less than you. No inheritance, no powerful connections, just a burning hunger to stop being a slave to his own life. Well, that man became the richest man in the greatest city the world had ever known, the glorious city of Babylon. Today, we're going to uncover the secrets he unlocked on those dusty, sun-baked streets. Secrets of wealth that aren't about luck or timing, but about timeless laws, just as powerful for your life today as they were thousands of years ago. Our story begins with a question that honestly echoes through the ages.
So our story doesn't start with a rich man. It starts with two really frustrated friends. First, there's Banshir, a chariot builder. His hands were so skilled he could craft the finest vehicles in the entire city. And then there was his friend Kobe, a musician, whose lyre could bring tears to the eyes of royalty. They're sitting together, just watching the golden light of dusk fall on the grand palaces and towering ziggurats of Babylon. And Banshir asks a question that you've probably asked yourself 100 times. Why can't I afford the best of everything? I work from sunrise to sunset, my body aches, my hands are calloused, yet my purse is empty. And Kobe just nods in weary agreement, confessing that his coins vanish from his pouch as quickly as they come. It's a feeling that's timeless, isn't it? That sinking feeling that no matter how hard you run, you're always in the same place.
You know, when you feel that gap between your effort and your reward, you really have two choices. You can complain and let bitterness take root, or you can seek to close that gap with knowledge. Banshir chose knowledge. He remembered an old friend, a man named Arkad. They'd grown up together, studied under the same masters, but while Banshir and Kobe were struggling, Arkad was now spoken of in whispers throughout the city. He was the richest man in all of Babylon. So Banshir and Kobe gathered their courage and they went to him. But here's the important part. They didn't ask for a handout. They didn't ask for a loan. Instead, they asked the most valuable question in the world. How did you do it? Teach us.
So Arkad listened to his old friend's frustrations. He saw their genuine desire to learn, not just to receive something for free. And he gave them not gold, but something far, far more valuable. The first and most foundational lesson for building wealth. He called it the first cure for a lean purse, the single action upon which all fortunes are built.
Arkad looked at them and he said something so simple yet so profound. He said, I found the road to wealth when I decided that a part of all I earned was mine to keep. Just listen to that wording again. He didn't say when I got a promotion or when I made a lucky investment. He said when I decided. See, wealth begins not with a larger income, but with a fundamental shift in your mind. It's a decision you make about who you are. Are you just a pipeline that money flows through to others, to your landlord, to the grocer, to the tax collector? Or are you a creator of your own fortune? Someone who values their own labor enough to claim the very first share.
So, what does this ancient wisdom mean for us today? Well, it translates into a simple, powerful, and absolutely non-negotiable rule. Pay yourself first. Before the rent is paid, before the subscriptions are deducted, before you buy groceries or even a cup of coffee, a part of everything you earn is yours to keep. The book recommends a specific amount to start, at least 1/10 or 10%. Think of it as the first and most important bill you pay each month, a bill to your future self. It's not a suggestion, it's the foundational law. It is the action that separates the person who builds wealth from the person who simply earns a living. You know, Arkad wasn't just born with this knowledge. He learned this secret from his own mentor, a wealthy moneylender named Algamish. As a poor young scribe, desperately carving clay tablets for just a few copper coins a day, Arkad asked Algamish how he too could become rich. Algamish gave him a simple, almost insulting assignment. He said, when you get your wages, take 1/10 and keep it. Do this for 1 full year, then come back to me. And Arkad protested. He was barely surviving as it was. How could he possibly live on even less? But the desire for wealth was stronger than his doubt, so he did it. Every single time he was paid, he put 1 out of every 10 coins aside, and a year later, he returned to Algamish with a small but growing purse. And Algamish told him, you have learned the first lesson. You have learned to become master of your own money instead of its slave.
But that first lesson, that was just the beginning. It was the foundation stone. From that single idea, Arkad developed a full system for financial health, a powerful framework he called the 7 Cures for a Lean Purse. He taught these cures to the people of Babylon, and he transformed the city into the wealthiest on earth. Each cure is a practical, logical step towards mastering your money and building a life of abundance.
Okay, the second cure is to control your expenditures. After you've paid yourself first, you have to learn to live on the rest. Arcad wisely said, "What each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest." This is what we now call lifestyle inflation. The more you make, the more you spend, and you end up in the exact same spot, just with nicer things. Your bills aren't some force of nature, they're a creation of your choices. And the tool for making better choices is a budget. A budget isn't about restriction, it's about directing your money with purpose, telling it where to go instead of wondering where it went.
This is really the core of budgeting, learning to distinguish between your true, essential needs and your desires, which, well, they can be endless. We all have needs: food, shelter, clothing. But our desires can expand to consume any amount of money we earn: the new chariot, the finer robes, the more exotic foods. A budget is the tool that helps you look at every single expense and ask, is this truly necessary? Or is this a desire that is stealing from the future I want to build? By understanding this difference, your budget becomes a map, guiding your resources to fund not only your present needs, but also your future wealth.
The third cure is to make your gold multiply. You see, simply saving your 10% isn't enough. A purse full of gold coins, just sitting there idle, earns nothing. It's like having an army of strong soldiers sitting in a barracks, but never sending them into battle. Arcad taught that you must put every single coin to work. Put each coin to work, he said, that it may reproduce its kind even as the flocks of the field. This is the ancient principle of investing. Every dollar you save is a worker, and your goal is to send these workers out into the world to earn more dollars, and then send those new dollars out to work as well. This is how you build an army of golden slaves, all working for you day and night.
But as you start to send your money out to work, you must immediately learn the fourth cure: guard your treasures from loss. The first rule of investing is to protect your principal. Arcad learned this the hard way. He tells this painful story of his first investment, where he gave all his savings from that first year to a brickmaker who was traveling to a distant land to buy rare gems. The brickmaker returned months later, having been cheated by swindlers. He knew how to make bricks, not how to buy jewels. Arcad's money was gone. The lesson for us is absolutely timeless. Invest only in what you understand and seek counsel from those with proven wisdom and experience in that field. Don't trust a brickmaker with your gems.
And this is perhaps the most empowering cure of them all: increase thy ability to earn. Arcad said, the more of wisdom we know, the more we may earn. Paying yourself first, budgeting, investing, that's all about managing the money you have. This cure is about increasing the flow of money into your life. You have to become a lifelong student of your craft. Work to become better, smarter, more skilled, more valuable. Why? Because you are your greatest asset. The single best investment you can ever make, the one that no one can ever take from you, is in yourself.
Now, beyond the 7 practical cures, Arcad also taught the 5 laws of gold. And I want you to think of these not as rules to follow, but more like laws of financial physics. They describe how money behaves, just like gravity describes how an apple falls from a tree. They work whether you believe in them or not, for the rich and the poor, in ancient Babylon and right here in the modern world.
Let's just walk through them. The first law: gold comes gladly and in increasing quantity to any person who puts by at least 1/10 of their earnings. That's the law of paying yourself first. The second: gold works diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it a profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks of the field. That's the law of wise investing and compounding. The third: gold clings to the protection of the cautious owner who invests it under the advice of men wise in its handling. This is the law of seeking expert counsel. The fourth: gold slips away from the person who invests it in businesses or purposes with which they are not familiar or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep. Yep, that's the law of the brickmaker. And finally, the fifth law: gold flees the person who would force it to impossible earnings or who follows the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers. Just remember that one: greed is a trap.
Now, this book isn't just a list of rules. It's the stories that make them truly unforgettable. And no story demonstrates the connection between wealth and character better than the tale of Dabasir. It shows that building wealth isn't just about spreadsheets and numbers, it's about integrity. It's about becoming the kind of person who is worthy of wealth.
You see, Dabasir wasn't just broke. He was a slave in Syria, sold by his creditors because he couldn't pay his debts. He had lived a life of extravagance in Babylon, borrowing money recklessly to fund a lifestyle he hadn't earned.
He made foolish promises, ignored his growing obligations, and his own pride and indulgence led him straight to ruin. He was a man who had lost everything: his business, his wife, his home, and ultimately his freedom.
His turning point came in the harsh Syrian desert when his master's wife, a wise woman named Sirah, challenged him. She saw a flicker of the man he used to be and told him, "The sun that hardens the clay also melts the butter. Is your spirit clay or is it butter?" She made him confront his own weaknesses, and then she gave him this powerful advice: "You must regain your self-respect. A man who does not respect himself cannot be free. Become a man who can pay his debts." That was the moment his life began to change. Her words gave him a path back not just to freedom, but to honor.
Dabasir escaped slavery and made the long, arduous journey all the way back to Babylon. But he didn't hide in shame. He did the hardest thing imaginable. He went to every single person he owed money to. He faced them and said, "I was a fool. I ran from my responsibilities, but I have returned with the determination of a man to pay every coin I owe." He then laid out his plan. He would work as a camel trader. He would live on just 2/10 of his earnings, save 1/10 for himself, and use the remaining 7/10 to systematically repay his debts. And he did it. Over the years, he paid back every single debt. He rebuilt his honor, and in doing so, he became wealthy, not just in gold, but in integrity and self-respect. So how do we take these timeless truths and actually apply them today? It all starts with one simple, powerful action. When you get your very next paycheck, I want you to do one thing. Before you do anything else, take 10% of it and pay yourself first. Move it to a separate account. This is not a suggestion. It is the first law. Make it an unbreakable habit. This single act is the foundation upon which your financial freedom will be built.
So what does this mean for you, right now? First, command your money by making a budget. This isn't to restrict joy, but to consciously fund your joy and your future. Second, start thinking like an investor. Put your saved money to work. You don't need a fortune to start, you need wisdom. Learn before you act. And finally, reclaim your honor. If you have debts, don't hide from them. Like Dabasir, face them with courage and with a plan. Paying your debts doesn't just free your purse, it frees your soul. You know, the most beautiful message in this whole book is that knowledge is the greatest treasure of all. Arkad didn't hoard his secrets. He taught them freely to his friends and to his city, because true, lasting wealth isn't about a pile of gold. Gold can be lost, stolen, or spent. The real treasure is the wisdom to acquire it, grow it, and keep it. And that wisdom, once you have it, can never be taken from you. Your journey begins today. Not when you get a raise, not when things are perfect. It starts right now with the knowledge you've gained.
You now have the blueprint. You have the cures for a lean purse and the immutable laws of gold that have built fortunes for thousands of years. The life where money is your loyal servant, not your demanding master, is not a fantasy. It's a structure, built decision by decision, action by action. And it all begins with one simple choice: to take a part of all you earn and claim it, finally, as your own. So the final question is a simple one. Are you ready to build?